My, oh my, everybody. Wow. College football playoff rankings are out, and we are here to chop it up on Ohio State football with Scarlet and Great here on YouTube. Guys, my name is Shane Larson, also known as the Gametime Guru. You can follow me on Twitter if you'd like, but listen, I'm here to chop it up with the rest of Buckeye Nation. Excited to be here. I'm not with my partners here, Corey and Johnny, my business partners. They're not with me tonight, flying solo, but that's okay. I want to chop it up with the rest of you guys. This is a good conversation we're about to have. I want you guys who are tuning in tonight, leave us a comment and let me know your initial thoughts. Not like after you've processed the information or after you watch this video. I want you to give me your initial thoughts when you saw the top 6 teams revealed tonight in their order. Just leave me a comment and tell me your initial thoughts, because I'm curious to see what everybody's first impressions were of these rankings, because it would be wild if some people weren't surprised, right? So the college football playoff rankings are out. And normally, guys, every year after year, you typically understand, like, which teams are probably going to be 1 through 6. At least 1 through 4, you have a pretty good understanding. But tonight, I felt like they threw a little curveball. And we'll talk about some of the pros and cons of that, like some of the things that I feel like I respect the committee for, and then some of the things that I'm a little bit irked about. So we're going to be chatting about that. Buckeyes sitting at number 2. Okay, Buckeyes sitting at number 2. And I honestly believe that's a fair assessment. Number 2 team in the country. We have the best offense when we are clicking. I would argue we have the best quarterback when we are clicking, right? And CJ, as we've discussed, has proven, and that game at Penn State was his first real test of adversity. Late in that game, he showed that he can, even in what we would call a bad game, he shined. So we have the best quarterback, and I think that's a huge piece to the puzzle, right? But we have shown some weaknesses, and you guys can't deny that. If you follow any of the Buckeye Twitter or any Buckeye media, you'll hear it all from all the critics. I mean, play calling is a question, slow starts, the lack of being able to run the ball in the trenches. Our power run game is a little rough. When they stack the box and it's man on man, we get pushed back quite a bit. But despite all of that, we have the most electric offense in the country with a defense that is improving week in and week out. The front seven's amazing. Still got some corners and defensive backs that need to get in the rhythm of things, and then that's showing us a weakness. However, we have a very, very solid team. So I'm okay with us being at number 2, right? Do I believe we are the number 1 team in the country? Every team's got some weaknesses. We'll talk about it here in just a second. I do believe every team, we look at all these teams, we think that they're like flawless, right? No, they're not. Everybody's got their weaknesses, and our strengths are at the right positions. Our strengths, like in the quarterback position for that matter, gives me a lot of hope of what we could do when it comes to the college football playoffs, assuming we make it there, right? We got to get past some tough tests. But I believe we could be number 1, but I'm okay being at number 2. It's the first rankings that come out. Let's see how the rest of the year, pans out. It shows that the committee respects what we have, even though there were a lot of naysayers talking to us about how weak our schedule was, which let me get to that in just a second. For our good old foe, Michigan up north, they talked about how weak Ohio State's schedule was, but they still gave us credit because they're seeing what we're doing. I believe we're the only team in the country who has won every game by double digits. And that's with all the hiccups we've had and the frustrations we've had and slow starts that we've had in certain games. And we've still won every game by double digits. And the committee sees that. Now, here's where I was surprised. You guys talk to me, okay? Alabama at number 6 didn't surprise me. And the committee even said, or sorry, the guys on the broadcast even said it. Alabama wins out, they're in. Alabama loses another game, they're out. But the committee is seeing that Alabama specifically, they had themselves a rough go with they almost, they could lose to any one of those teams. Like, they've had some rough games, not just the Tennessee game, but they've also shined a lot in some of their games, right? So with that being said, Alabama at number 6, totally okay with that. Where I'm not okay, and you guys might hate me for this, is Michigan being at number 5. When you change Michigan out for number 5, and I'm not saying like, oh, we got to defend Michigan. That's not me at all, right? Do I think it's better when Michigan's doing well? Yeah, it's good for Ohio State. It's good for the Big Ten. It's good for our rivalry. It's good for Buckeye football when Michigan is up, right? It's good for both programs. But Where I'm irked with this particular ranking, I'm not saying they're better than Ohio State or they should be number one, but no, I am irked by this ranking because I feel like the committee is basically telling Ohio State that you either win out or you have no chance. Because see, with Tennessee or Georgia, whichever one wins their battle and goes to the SEC championship, they're going to be put at number one. Okay, either one of those teams is going to be at number one, most likely, based on the rankings right here. Meaning, if they lose in the SEC championship and that happens to be their only loss, they could still get in with a 4 seed, potentially. Ohio State with Michigan, assuming these were to stay the same, let's say every team just wins out and then Ohio State faces Michigan. Ohio State's got to win out or they're not in at all. They have no chance at a one-loss entry into the college football playoff. And that's what irks me. And it's not like I don't want them to lose. I want Ohio State to win out and everything of that nature, but it shows me a little bit of disrespect. You guys might think I'm overreacting a tad, and that's okay. But I find it disrespectful. You put Michigan at 5 because I feel like there's an agenda being pushed there, right? The Tennessee at number 1, that doesn't bother me. I heard a couple people on Twitter already talking about SEC bias. No. Because Tennessee or Georgia was going to be 1-3 regardless. That's not the issue. But Clemson, Michigan, 4 or 5, that bothers me because I can see the implications. I can already see it playing out right now. They're starting it now, but you can already see the storyline coming to be later on, right? So that's what bothers me. Plus, not to mention, Clemson has been super underwhelming, and they have their quarterback play is extremely low, like super bipolar. And like I said, the two top, in my opinion, top 3 quarterbacks in the country, Tennessee, Alabama, and Ohio State, have top 3 quarterbacks playing at a high level consistently throughout the whole year, right? And I believe you need that to be able to win a national championship. Not always, but you do need to have someone who's going to be able to play big-time players making big-time plays in big-time moments. But I would say that Michigan's quarterback play, although it's not this unbelievable, going to sit there and pick you apart, it's been more consistent, in my opinion. You guys might disagree with me, than Clemson's. And see, I don't want to turn this into a Michigan let's just defend Michigan. That's not what this podcast is about. It's not what this show is about. This is for you guys to talk about Ohio State football, but I'm talking to you about how this 5th seed ranking for Michigan impacts Ohio State in the long run if Ohio State happened to lose a game. Heaven forbid. We don't want that to happen. Go Bucks. Obviously, we want to see them win out. So I know the old timers are going to say, just win your games and you're good to go. I'm with you on that, but it just kind of pisses me off the disrespect they have for the Big Ten is basically what I'm saying. Because, like, to put Clemson above them is a tad odd to me because of the inconsistency in their quarterback play is what I'm saying. In the ACC, if we're going to be talking about like strength, like you don't take the ranking, take the numbers off of these teams and you look at teams playing certain teams, like the ACC is not that strong. You might say, oh, well, Florida State was ranked in this and that. No. Take the numbers off the teams and actually watch the games and you'll see you'd probably rearrange your top 25. Let's just be real about it. So Tennessee at 1. I was surprised. Were you guys surprised? Tennessee at 1? I will say they were consistent, but I thought Georgia, here's where I was going to say, Georgia at number 3, I'm not mad about Tennessee, Georgia, like flip-flop, but I would have expected Georgia to be at the number 1 seed just for consistency's sake throughout all the other polls. And Georgia has been good. Yeah, they've shown some weaknesses. They almost, they struggled in a couple of games, Missouri being one of them. Like, they struggled. But you got to win games, and that's what they're doing. But the committee's seeing something. The committee's respecting that Georgia struggled in certain games. And I do like that about the committee. They are seeing that. And you might even say the same about Michigan. I wasn't trying to defend them. I was just saying why it irks me that Ohio State didn't get the benefit there. I feel like it was a little bit of a shot at the Buckeyes. But they might be seeing Michigan, their strength of schedule, lacking of the strength of schedule and what they've done. And they're seeing Alabama struggling a little bit. I feel like the committee is starting to see a little bit more context than they've seen in the past. And I'll tell you this, like, I'm a Biletnikoff Award voter, all right? And there's some of you guys out there who might not understand how the process works, but I'll tell you, the majority, and I'm not just making an assumption, I know this for a fact, do not watch film on the people they're voting for. And I'm just telling you, like, if you want to be real about it, and we already know that. People are like, they're not even watching these games. They don't see the context behind certain games, what's going on behind the scenes. They're just stat watchers, right? Don't be a stat watcher, right? I always feel like that is what the committee's all about and all these voters are all about, because you get a list. There's no ownership or verification that you've actually watched film on this person you're clicking the button for that you're voting for. Like, when I'm voting for the Biletnikoff Award, I don't have to verify nothing that I've watched any film. Same concept with this committee. They don't have to watch film, right? And there's sometimes where I'm like, dude, you guys are not like understanding context. You're not watching these games. You're seeing stats, and that's all you're seeing. You're stat watchers. But this year, I feel like the committee's at least seeing context. Whether I agree with the rankings or not, I can at least see that they're looking into context behind some of these games, because the eye test would say, okay, well, you know, or the consistency test should say, okay, Georgia's at number 1, Ohio State number 2, Tennessee number 3, probably Michigan number 4, Clemson 5, Alabama 6, if we're going with consistency's sake. But the committee's at least looking into that. You could say the same thing for Ohio State. They're looking into the context. They're like, okay, some of these games have been close, but they are showing that they're getting the job done and their offense can click at any moment. And they see how dangerous the Buckeyes can be when they're clicking. And maybe they're seeing, hey, they're down some running backs. Their running back depth is getting hurt week in and week out. They're down their best receiver, and they're still putting up the best numbers in the country. They are the most electrifying offense without the best receiver and without their running backs being consistently intact. So the committee, in my opinion, is seeing some context. I might be wrong. I might disagree, or you guys might disagree with me. Let me know. But Buckeye fans, let me know what you think. Ohio State at number 2. Basically, let's just do this. Win out. Let's get to the college football playoff, and let's prove who we are there. Let us know in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, guys. We want to make sure we get to 5,000 subscribers before that Michigan game. Okay, by the end of this month, help us get to 5,000 subscribers. So if you can hit that subscribe button, tell your friends and the rest of Buckeye Nation about it. We want to chat with you guys. This is about the entire Scarlet and Great Empire, not just us talking heads here on the show. We want to hear from you guys. God bless, and go Bucks.